Hey guys, how's it going? Hope you're doing well. My name is Crown, and today I'm going to read you some very interesting stories that I hope that you're gonna love. And now, without further ado, let's go!
This happened a while back. A little background. I'm a big guy, 6'6", 280 pounds, 9% body fat. I wear boots and leather, long hair, goatee, tattoos all over my body. Even when I'm sitting on my bike, I am taller than most people I know. I often get mistaken for some motorbike gang thugger, although I am not. I'm a veterinarian. I know I look like I can tighten truck tires by hand, but I handle newborn kittens every day. I'm married to the sweetest little thing and I adore her, and she adores me. She has a daughter, 7, which I gladly adopted, and Big Guy Jr. is on his way due October. Now that you have a visual, let's get to the story. Me, my wife, and daughter went to an unnamed big store that sells disassembled DIY furniture. You figure it out. My wife, not yet pregnant yet, goes in with our daughter to find something or to ask something. I don't remember. I stay outside because it's windy and I like that. While she's in there, I see an old man pushing a cart with a box on it towards the parking lot. He looks around and waves at me. I wave back. I figure, hey, I'm a unique creature in my neighborhood and this guy must know me. So I smile and wave. He then waves at me to go to him. Immediately I thought, this dude needs help with a box. And I was right. Help a friendly neighbor? Well, any day. I go there and as I'm walking, I realize I haven't seen this man in my life. And it becomes apparent the second he begins the conversation. Young man, I was waving at you trying to get your attention all the way here. What are you so occupied by? Counting cracks in the pavement? I swear this country is going to be doomed because they let people like you work. Baffled, I try to say something but he interrupts me. Yeah, whatever. Keep your excuses for your supervisor in an hour. Now get this box in my truck. And I say no. Apparently this is something he had never experienced, and he makes the famous Pikachu face. He tries to get in my face, at least I think he believes that's what he's doing, and I can almost hear his neck crack as he tries to look up at me. And why not? Trying to gather evidence, I guess. Because 1, I don't work here. 2, I don't know what's in that box. And 3, I don't know you. I still can't believe that he mistook me for a parking lot boy. I just bought that, I didn't steal it, and even if I did, you people are used to it. And I realize that I look like 2 Danny Trejos on top of each other without the face cars. He continues, I am calling security on you. To which I agree. Security comes, the old man is spitting words trying to get his story across first. He still insists that I work there and I refuse to help an elderly citizen and I must be fired immediately. I explain that I'm just another customer just like him and it isn't my job to load boxes for every rundown schmuck in a parking lot. And at this point the old man realizes that as well, but is standing his ground. What's the big deal? You must respect your elders, he said that. I explained that I'm certainly not helping an unknown man load an unknown box into an unknown car just like that. I could have helped him, yes, if only he asked nicely, but since he didn't, I won't. He continues saying that when an elder says jump, I should only say how high. That refusing to help an elder must be punished. What has this country come to? This new generation, yada yada. You know the tirade. And at this point, I'm tired of his entitlement. I see my wife and daughter exit the store and look at us, and a light bulb in my mind goes ding. I turn my back so the old man can't see and put my finger on my mouth, shush to my wife. She instantly knew something's gonna happen. I quickly move towards them, grab my daughter and shove my finger in her ribs, tickling her hard. She starts laughing, but it sounds more like screaming. I turn to the old man and shout to overcome the laughing/screaming. Excuse me, sir, can you please hold the screaming child under these cameras while I get my windowless van? He was stunned. He backs up so fast I swear his hair closed in front of his face, deformed by horror and fear. Security guy frantically taps himself looking for the radio. I drop my daughter to the ground. She stops screaming, looks at me and says, "Oh daddy, I will get you for this," while still laughing and clutching my hand. My wife can't hold it in and burst out laughing hard. Spit and boogers start bumping out. The old man looked so shocked that bees could make honey in his mouth by the time he was able to close it. I say just 3 words. "Now you know." Without a word, he walked away. Security gathers himself and says his 3 words. That was epic. We are still laughing about it. So this happened to me about 4 months ago, and I was telling this to a few of the current company employees that I work for now, and they said I should post a story here. So I came to work one day and got a call 15 minutes into my shift from the entitled site supervisor, and he told me that I had received a complaint from one of the employees, an entitled one too by the way, that I was sleeping on shift. At first I thought to myself, how can I be sleeping if I'm logging in truckers about every 5 to 8 minutes? I worked as a gate guard for a trucking company terminal. I carefully explained to him that I was not sleeping as I do not get time to sleep or even use a restroom at times. I barely have time to heat up food when a rush comes in. The supervisor told me that I would be receiving a written warning for sleeping and that I needed to sign it for confirmation. This is how the next conversation went. "Alright, I'm going to be giving you a written warning, and I need you to sign that stating that you agree to these accusations, and you'll be let go. I told you that I wasn't sleeping. I am not going to sign or agree to anything that isn't the truth." He cuts me off before I can continue. "You will sign it, or I will get you fired." "Alright, get me fired then." Click. I stayed on my shift to get paid for the few hours left, and I hadn't heard anything from him until 4 days later when the account manager came to my site that I was working at, and she came to me and told me that I was going to be let go from the site and to come to the office tomorrow morning to discuss the harassment charges placed against me. I was livid, so I went to the office the next morning in a business tie and suit. Not my normal clothes because I wanted to look present for my accusations even though they are a bunch of jerks. I walked into a conference room and sat down. There, in the conference room was myself, the supervisor, the entitled employee, the terminal manager, and the security account manager. I was apparently accused of harassing the entitled employee and the supervisor. They both went to the terminal manager and account manager saying that I was harassing the supervisor for his nationality and race, and the employee was saying that I was harassing her because of her weight. I let them finish their little rant, and when it was my turn, oh, you wouldn't believe the stuff that I had on them. I had brought my personal laptop with me every night during my shift, and I always saved my recordings with each individual that I had to come face to face with. I saved up, I think was like 2 terabytes worth of recordings over 7 months of being at that post. This is how the conversation went. "Alright, Mr. X, please tell me your side of the story." The account manager asks me. I pulled out my laptop and asked for their emails. Once I got them, I emailed all of them the link to my cloud. I have sent you a cloud link to the last 7 months of recorded conversation data that I have been keeping and collecting over time. This was for my protection and the protection of others, as per the security regulations of the site rules and the terminal rules. "You can't record us without our say," the supervisor says. "Yeah, you violated the law by recording me." The employee of course backed him up. Actually, he has a full right to do so, as a security shack has video and audio being recorded for the safety of my drivers and my employees, the terminal manager told them. The moment the terminal manager said that, you should have seen how their eyes lit up like the 4th of July. The account manager asked for me to leave the room for a moment. I was in a waiting room for at least 2 hours before being asked to come back in. Once I come back in, this is how the conversation followed. "I need you to hand over your laptop for further evaluation of this case," the account manager told me. "I am not handing over my personal laptop. This is my property, not yours." "Well, if you refuse to hand over evidence in this case, I am sorry to say this, but you are hereby terminated from X security company for violation of security protocols. Please return any items to the front desk within 5 business days and you'll receive your last check via direct deposit." I walked up and left. After about 2 weeks of relaxing, I went on a vacation with a friend. I came back to a few emails from the terminal manager at the truck company. I went to the terminal, and as I got out of my car, I saw a different security team from a different company. At first, I didn't think too much of it, as we've done that before when needing extra hands. I sat with the terminal manager in his office, and this is how the conversation went. Hello, Mr. X. I assume you didn't answer the first emails, that you were on vacation, and I can totally respect that. I still had access to your cloud that went over those videos with a few of my operations managers. Over these 2 weeks, and I just wanted to say this to you face to face, that the employee has been terminated from the company for numerous violations and theft. The company's contract was terminated 2 days ago by our corporate office for violations against our contract. Well, if we're all being truthful here, I left you on the cloud to see if you would be able to do something, but I still don't understand why I'm being here right now. Well, I have an offer for you. I will employ you with us and send you to your privately owned school to get your license. If that is something you would like, you will not have to pay a dime, and I can get you squared away immediately with corporate and our school manager. I, of course, accepted his offer, and the epic revenge was that the account manager and the entitled security supervisor were both terminated from that by their corporate office for multiple violations, including the account manager stealing stocks from employees that don't back her story. I'm now happy with the trucking company that I am with right now. I'm a driver with my own truck, and I run on a nice account making $1,900 weekly before taxes. Let me start by saying that I live in Honduras. I'm a student, a low-profile one. I've always been the quiet type, the kind who sits at the back of the classroom and watches the world whirl by without making much noise about it. Universidad Nacional, with its sprawling campus and throngs of students, was a place where someone like me could easily blend into the background. That day was just like any other. I walked into my class a few minutes early to snag my usual spot in the back row by the window. As I settled in, my eyes were drawn, as they often were, to Maria. She was hard to miss, not because she tried to be, but because she carried a kind of quiet grace that made her stand out, even in a room full of loud personalities. Her long dark hair was always neatly tied back, and she had this way of looking at her books as if they were treasures waiting to be discovered. Maria took her usual seat in the middle of the room. I couldn't help but notice that she never really talked to anyone else, unless she had to. It wasn't that she was rude or anything, she was just reserved. The room filled up quickly, and soon the usual buzz of pre-class chatter filled the air. I pulled out my notebook ready to lose myself in another lecture, but the voices around me pulled my attention away. "Have you heard about Maria?" whispered Anna. Anna was the type of girl who commanded attention, whether you wanted to give it to her or not. "No, what about her?" Lucia chimed in. She was Anna's closest friend and just as keen on the latest gossip. "They say she's been sneaking around with Jose after hours," Anna said. I frowned, looking over at Maria, who seemed oblivious to the whispers targeting her. It didn't sit right with me, hearing them talk about her like that. Maria had always been nothing but polite and focused on her studies. The rumors felt strong, crafted from envy rather than fact. But why would she do that? She doesn't seem like that type. Oh please, you really think she's as innocent as she looks? I've seen the way guys look at her. She's not as shy as she pretends to be. The bell rang then, cutting through the growing tension and signaling the start of the class. The professor walked in and everyone shuffled to their seats. Jose was one of the most annoying guys I've ever come across. He's in our class and he tends to sit next to Maria whenever he gets the chance. Anyways, his POS began to play into the narrative that Anna and her clique had crafted. It happened one afternoon in a university cafe. The place was buzzing with students when I overheard Jose boasting to a group of onlookers about his latest conquests. "Yeah, Maria, you know her, right? The quiet one in our class." Jose said with a smirk. "She's not as shy as you think. We've had our fun," he added, air quoting the word. The group around him laughed. His confirmation seemed to solidify the rumors, transforming them from mere whispers into facts. Anyways, the days that followed were heavy. Each day as I walked into the class, I could feel a shift in how people looked at Maria. Where there had been casual indifference, there were now looks tinged with suspicion. The rumors Anna had casually thrown into the air had taken root, growing wilder and more elaborate as they passed from person to another. One particular morning, as I approached the university's main building, I spotted Maria sitting alone on a bench in the courtyard. I hesitated, then walked over. "Mind if I sit?" I asked, gesturing to the empty space beside her. She looked up a bit startled, as if she hadn't expected anyone to notice her there. "Oh, sure, go ahead," she replied. I sat down. "It's a nice spot here, isn't it?" "Yes, it's quiet. Good for studying or just thinking." We fell into an easy silence, the kind that wasn't awkward but rather comfortable. "I've heard some of the talk going around." I started cautiously. "I just wanted to say, well, I hope you don't let it get to you." Maria's expression shifted slightly. "Thank you. It's hard, you know. I don't even understand why this is happening. It's just people being people, I guess. Sometimes they don't need a reason to be cruel. Yeah, it just feels so strange. One day everything is normal, and the next, you're suddenly the person everyone is talking about for all the wrong reasons." "Do you want to talk about it?" "There is nothing to talk about. Really. I haven't done anything they say I did. It's all just made up." "I believe you. And for what it's worth, I think this will blow over soon." "I hope you're right." We spent the next hour just sitting there, sometimes talking, sometimes just sharing the silence. When it was time to hit the class, we stood up together. "Thanks for the company," Maria said with a smile. "Anytime," I replied. "Really, anytime." Weeks went on, then it was a cloudy Tuesday, the kind of day that promised rain but held off. As I walked towards the classroom, I couldn't shake off a feeling of unease. When I entered the classroom, I immediately sensed the shift in the atmosphere. The usual pre-class chatter was absent. Instead, a heavy silence hung over the room, punctuated only by the occasional whisper. Maria was already there, sitting in her usual spot, her body language closed off and her eyes fixed on a desk in front of her. The seat next to her was empty. It was usually occupied by Jose, the guy who, according to the rumors, was involved with Maria in ways that were far from the truth. Before I could sit down, Anna, flanked by Lucia and a couple of other girls, made her way to where Maria was sitting. "Hey Maria, Jose isn't here today." "Missing your boyfriend?" Anna said that. Maria looked up. "He's not my boyfriend." "Oh come on, everyone knows you two have been sneaking around. Why keep denying it?" "I haven't done anything wrong. Why are you doing this? What have I ever done to you?" Anna laughed. "Nothing, Maria, nothing. It's just so easy to get under your skin." The confrontation was interrupted by the arrival of our professor, who immediately sensed the tension. "Is there a problem here?" he asked, eyeing Anna and her group. "No, Professor," Anna replied. "Just cleaning up some misunderstandings." The group moved away, but the damage was done. Then it was on a cool, breezy Thursday morning when everything came to a head. I arrived early at the classroom, taking my usual seat. Just as the clock struck the hour and the professor had yet to arrive, the door slammed open with a force that made everyone jump. A young man, probably no older than 16, strode in. He was dressed in a simple t-shirt and jeans, but it was the intense look in his eyes that captured everyone's attention. Behind him, almost hidden in his shadow, was Maria, looking smaller and more vulnerable than I had ever seen her. The young man wasted no time. "I need to speak with the person who's been harassing my sister," he announced. The room went dead silent. No one moved. Until one of Jose's friends, a bulky guy known for his loud mouth, snickered and muttered loud enough for everyone to hear. "Looks like the baby brother is here to change diapers." The young man's eyes flickered with a dangerous spark, but his voice remained calm. "This is not a joke. I will ask again. Where is he?" Still, no one spoke. Maria's brother took a deep breath, and without another word, he stepped out of the room. The moment the door shut behind him, whispers erupted like a dam breaking. "He can't do anything," someone muttered. "He's just a kid," another added. But the defiance quickly turned into panic when he returned less than a minute later. This time he held something in his hand. It was hard to see at first, but as he raised it, the room collectively gasped. It was a rifle, ridiculously large, and in that brief moment, fear had gripped everyone. Without saying a word, he began to shoot it across the floor, walking down the aisle between the desks. People recoiled, some screamed. As he reached the front, he turned to the guy who had mocked him earlier. "I'll ask again. Now tell me where he is." The bravado had drained from the bully's face, replaced by a sudden understanding of the seriousness of the situation. He's not here today. He's in our class, but he didn't come today." Maria's brother approached him calmly and said, "Stand up." The bully hesitated, looking around as if looking for support from his peers, but the room was still. No one came to his aid. Slowly, he stood, moved to the front, faced the wall, and raised your hands up. The bully obeyed, walking to the front with heavy steps. He placed his palms against the wall and lifted his arms. Maria's brother then told him, "You will stay like this until we leave the campus. And if I ever hear or find out that you've continued spreading lies or harassing my sister, I'll be back. And it won't be just a toddler's punishment next time." With that, Maria's brother signaled to Maria, and they walked out of the classroom together. In the days that followed, word spread that Jose, the guy who had allegedly solidified the rumors about Maria and fueled it, had been found just outside the campus boundaries. He was badly injured, having been stabbed multiple times, but it seems that he barely made it, but rumors say that he will be in a wheelchair for the rest of his life. Maria, meanwhile, remained absent from classes. It wasn't until 3 weeks later that she returned. Her re-entry was met with quiet stares. Nobody dared to speak to Maria, let alone meet her eyes. Maria was rumored to be the daughter of one of the high-ranking gang leaders in the country. This information had not been widely known before, but once it surfaced, it reshaped every interaction. The university administration, typically keen to discipline and maintain order, seemed to tread unusually lightly around her. No formal expulsion or reprimand was issued regarding her absences or the incidents that had transpired. I know this story might seem insane to most of you, especially in the West, but you won't believe how stories like this are not really that unfamiliar in countries like mine. So this happened ages ago, way before the pandemic. I used to work as a ramp coordinator at the local airport, and this is one of my favorite work stories. Some context. I worked for a large airline who shall remain nameless, but this was a transatlantic flight to Europe in the evening. I would work the check-in/departure with my colleagues usually, but some nights I was scheduled to the ramp, where I was in charge of safety and taking care of logistical issues. So while I was not the person who checked in this particular passenger, I was in the prime position to witness this man's downfall from start to finish. So this all started at check-in. I was next to the girl taking care of the mail carrying at the counters. He was a business class passenger en route from the get-go, which is actually pretty rare for our business class packs. 90% of them are very kind. This was made worse by the fact that his booked seat for the evening had a mechanical issue that would prevent it from reclining. Now, this is kind of a big deal, especially in business class. This was a fancy aircraft with fully flat beds for business class packs to lay down in. They are glorious, comfortable, and also so expensive. For the amount of money you are paying, you better get a seat that reclines. Unfortunately, sometimes crap breaks. Our mail carrying caught the unlucky hand that night, and the seat he originally reserved was locked in takeoff/landing position. Luckily for him, my colleague explained that we had other seats available in business. We could move him to an aisle seat no problem. This was not sufficient for him. He proceeded to spend 20 minutes going on and on about how he wanted a window seat, of which there were none. To which my colleague responded by saying that he could still occupy his preferred seat. Just, locked in takeoff position. No, this would not do. The man needed a window seat and it better be a functional one. By golly, at this point, I had to leave to meet the aircraft and I can't tell you what else transpired at the counters. All I know is that my colleague truly went above and beyond for this man, checking in with our packs in his cabin if they would like to swap their window seat for the available aisle seat. No one took the offer, and before boarding, he could be seen/heard once again insisting to the gate crew, joined now by the manager, who once again gave him his three options. 1. Deal with the inconvenience and keep his locked window seat. He could claim compensation through the flight crew/customer service afterwards. 2. Take the functional aisle seat. He could also claim compensation after the fact for his preference being ignored. 3. Don't fly at all. By the time boarding was complete and I was running up to deliver my papers to the flight crew, this male Karen, this brilliant, stunning example of human intelligence, made his own choice. Option 4. Loudly proclaim I know the captain and then try unsuccessfully to gain access to the flight deck during boarding. When stopped by the in-flight lead, who is understandably not having it, he proceeds to verbally assault her. Lesson 1. When flying on an aircraft, you don't get the in-flight lead mad. So I came up from the ramp to witness the beauty of the scene this man had dug himself. At the door of the aircraft is the in-flight lead, furiously talking to one of my colleagues at the door. I don't want him on my plane. That's a violation of the flight deck. What if he tries to do that in the air? Inside the aircraft is male Karen sitting in his aisle seat, with his arms crossed like a petulant child. While my shift manager was calmly explaining that you don't try to gain access to the flight deck, get the cabin crew mad and still expect to fly. The male Karen at this point is refusing to deplane, leading to us calling security. I think upon realizing he could actually get into very real trouble for this, he left the aircraft, but not before thanking us all for apparently making him act like a jerk. To this day I wish my shift manager had held this man there until security came by. He absolutely deserved to get a dressing down from airport police for acting like this, but my colleagues were understandably sick of him and we had a plane to get out. I am unsure what consequences he faced for this, but I do know the little incident would have banned him from flying with us until our review of the incident. I doubt that went well for him. Mind you that this story occurred to my dad and I heard it from my mom. A little bit of background. My dad has 3 jobs, but not that he needed it, he just wanted it. He's quite a bit of a workaholic. He owns a GPS company, a renovation/building company, and a jet ski rental business. So he's quite a hard worker. My dad is also quite tall and has a long beard, which makes him look like an intimidating Viking. We are Swedes, by the way. But despite his looks, he's a nice fellow. My dad, with the help of my mom, was going to pick up one of my dad's jet skis that he rented out to his customers. But at the same time, my dad heard a commotion. My dad, being the curious guy he is, went to see what was going on. There he finds Karen yelling and harassing a random woman who just wants to go on with her day. Let me just say that, from my mom's description of the crazy lady, she has typical Karen clothes, fake Gucci clothing, and also a typical Karen haircut. My mom also said that she looks like she lives in a gym because the lady was a buff. So we might as well call her Mega Karen. Apparently Karen thought that the woman she was yelling at was a doctor and was demanding for this woman to give her some pills. I don't know what pills she was talking about, but my mom said that she looked like she was on some kind of drugs because she was acting and talking crazy. Here is how the conversation went. Give me some pills now. No, I already told you many times that I don't have any bills. You're a doctor, aren't you? No. The lady answered Karen with a sigh. Yes, you are. Now give me the pills. The woman looked like she was about to cry, so my mom asked Dad to intervene, and that's what he did. My dad pushed Karen gently away from the woman to give her some space and tried to resolve this calmly by words. And out of nowhere, Karen slaps my dad in the face. And that's when my dad absolutely lost it. First of all, don't ever touch me again, you hear me? Why are you even yelling at this woman? She's a doctor, and I want my pills. In what world does a doctor wear a bikini at a workplace? Does she look like a doctor to you? Even if she was a doctor, why would she carry pills on a beach? Karen slaps Dad again. That's it, I'm calling the police. While my dad was dialing 112, it's usual in Sweden to call the cops, carrying up bail and tried to run away, so my dad and the crowd were preventing her escape. So when that tactic didn't work, she tried to play the victim by shouting through my dad's phone, "Help! I am being assaulted!" Of course, when the cops arrived, she instantly played the victim, spouting her nonsense about "he's assaulting me" lies. But she was instantly arrested and was charged with assault after the witnesses called out her lies. Seeing Karen getting arrested had put a smile on Dad's face. To be honest, I wish I